Hey folks, Steve Vai here with the Big Five from Premier Guitar. What's my favorite guitar? Well, you know what? That's a tough one. It's like what child do you love more? you know. But through the years, my attraction to a particular instrument has changed based on the instrument and what it is I'm doing at the time. For many years, my go-to guitar was Evo, which is an Ibanez gem that I played for many years. A guitar develops a personality in the mind of the player, and you create a connection with it. So the attraction to it may not necessarily be because it looks a certain way or because it plays a certain way, but there might be some kind of an emotional attraction. And right now, for me, this my new Onyx Black Pia. This is the one that just seems to be grabbing my attention every time I go to grab a guitar to just play. This is the first black Onyx Pia that was made. And sometimes the first ones do it, sometimes they don't. They're just like, passing ships in the night, so to speak. But some of them have staying power, and this is just the one that's been hanging around. And I just got another one for touring, because the touring guitars for me, I have set up a little bit differently. I always have the sustainer in them and some other little things, but this didn't have any of that. So I got this other guitar that had it all, and I'm like, it doesn't, I've started to develop the romance with this one. So I had them work on this one and make it a touring guitar. After 35 years of the gem, which I still play and I love and we continue to develop with Ibanez, there was a little itch that I couldn't really reach. And I felt it was time to experiment with something new. And it took years. It took some years to come up with this design. And there's a lot of meaning that I gave it, that doesn't really matter. Perhaps it's important that other people create the meaning it has for them. But some of the things about this guitar that are a little different is I had the as opposed to the gem, because it's basically a gem with some, cosmetic changes. I softened the edges a bit, just for I wanted it to just look a little more sexy, And the handle, I knew I wanted to have something a little different. And this design came about after a lot of experimenting, stuff that was completely different, that just, we'd look at and and nah, yeah, nah, kind of thing. It was fun, and plus the guys at Hoshino are just amazingly talented. This design started to come about because of its attraction to the way it's balanced when you look at it. It's sort of like yin and yang, and it's like it's the pedal grip we call it, because it's like flower petals in a way. But we took it a lot further that may not be seen, in that so many of the angles that were created are proportionate to the pedal grip. The designs in the neck are proportionate. There's certain cutaways, and so it creates a sort of like an unconscious visual attraction, if that makes sense. The thing that draws me to an instrument is its friendliness, so to speak. There's a lot of elements. It's the way it looks has something to do with it, and maybe not much, because the way it looks, you give that all the meaning it has for you, and that meaning changes. So once I saw this guitar, I immediately fell in love with it, because it's just, for me at least, it's just gorgeous. It's just a beautiful creature, So then I thought, okay, but how does it play? Now I kind of know how it plays because I designed it, but even so, they're always different. So I picked it up and I started playing it, and I just thought, yeah. And then I started playing it more, and I'm saying, oh, they got the scallop perfect. Oh wow, look at these inlays. They make it easier for me. So the love affair sort of blossoms, and then it's like, well, okay, let's see how it sounds, and you can sit and play with the guitar and it'll sound a certain way, and it's like, okay, well, it's got a little bit of this, but and it's got a little bit of that, but you have to really hear it on the battlefield in order to know what it's got. Because frequencies can be deceiving when you're just listening to them alone, but when they're being bombarded by the rest of the band on a big noisy stage, or in a track competing with all the other frequencies, it separates the men from the mice or whatever. And the guitar then has another level of appreciation if it can cut through all that stuff and if it has that sound. And I'm happy to say that was another part of the developing love affair with this guitar. It just sounds great. It just fits. It fits its little sonic homeland in the track and on the stage. So those are some of the reasons why. My Desert Island album. Well, that changes through the years too, but for the past decades since I've heard it, it's Tom Waits' Bone Machine. That record sends me. It's as brilliant. I mean, everybody has their attraction to different artists for different reasons, but for me, Tom is the guy. He's like a treasure of an artist from head to foot, and I never go anywhere without his entire catalog in my back pocket. And that record seems to be the balance that I resonate with the most. It's hard because any Tom Waits or Frank Zappa record for me, if I'm on a desert island with it, I'll be okay. But Bone Machines is a big boy game, man. That is just a masterpiece. Tom captures atmospheres unlike anybody else. He understands the sonic real estate as an experience in a depth way as opposed to a horizontal. So listening to his records, and especially that record, it forces you to listen and become part of that dimension. And the lyrics that he delivers these jewels of profound lyrics as if he's throwing them away. And it's just lovely. When Tom Waits gets aggressive, it's different than what like a rock musician would do or something like that. There's an intensity in the way he sings. And that record, I mean, Earth Dies Screaming, you can't, it's untouchable. It's just untouchable to me in the realm of an artist's authenticity. What is my biggest guitar culture pet peeve? Most guitar players believe that they're doing something wrong. They believe that they may, and not all, obviously, but they can be confused as to what kind of direction to take. Should I do this? Should I play this music that will pay but doesn't, but isn't really what I want to do? Should I do what I really want because then I could fail? And so maybe it's not a pet peeve, but it's something that I recognize that's unnecessary. And it creates a lot of confusion in guitar players, and they think that there's like a right way and a wrong way. And that's an illusion. The best way is your way. So you have to find a way to recognize in yourself when you're having these periods or thoughts of lack or confusement or not being good enough or insecurity. You have to recognize when you're doing that and realize there, there's no rules really. You can't make a mistake. You could waste time, but the wasting of the time helps you to recognize something that was in you that then can be corrected. And it's always chasing something that's unrealistic. That's always the waste of time. It's chasing fantasies. It's the belief that they have to conform, and It's the belief that their interests are not good enough. This will always hold them back from really the enjoyment of life. You know, fantasies carry in them when you project. They carry in them a projection into the future, and this is what a lot of musicians, a lot of people do, project into the future and believe that they can plan those things that are necessary to them so they will be happy. And many people, because of the conditioning of society, believe that happiness equals success. And what does success mean in the world? Being famous, having sold a lot of records, um, knowing everybody knowing who you are, or even just that what success means is different to everybody. And when you project into a fantasy future of the things that you believe you should be doing in order to be happy and successful, you'll know if it's a fantasy because within it, there's resistance. There's a feeling of, yeah, but what if it's not, what if it doesn't work? Okay, so that's a fantasy. Whereas your true, unique, creative expressions, and they're there, um, are really the only thing that are going to ever give you the feeling of satisfaction, like real fulfillment. And the way that you recognize those ideas when they come to you, and the way you can differentiate them from being a fantasy, and you got to remember fantasies, once I get this, then I'll be happy. And I can let you in on a little secret. Most of the time, it's completely unfulfilled. Not most of the time, all of the time. If you even reach that fantasy goal, you brought with you the mechanism of unhappiness and projecting into the future for more, and that never goes away. So you're never really satisfied. I've seen it with many people who have made it. The satisfaction isn't there. The only thing that's ever going to satisfy you is you expressing your uniquely inspired ideas. And you know that they're yours because they're tailor made for you. They're perfect for you. When you get them, there's no fear in them. There's no questioning. It's a knowing. It's a knowing that it's an aha moment. You've had them. You know, everybody has them. That's your instinctual, creative, unique nature telling you, do this. Now, the ego says, yeah, but that's never going to make me famous or something like that, you know, and you miss out. You miss out on your potential because you're not appreciating yourself. Jack White. Jack White is, some people may not expect that someone like myself would see him as a genius or a brilliant player because he's not a shredder like me, you know. But when I listen to guitar, I don't listen with shredder ears, you know. If somebody's shredding and they're doing it in a way that it resonates with me, then that's great. And there are guys that do that. But it's kind of like the blues in that a lot of times I see guys playing blues and they're really just enjoying the fact that they know where to put their fingers. And that's fine, but there's deeper levels to all of that. And Jack, his ability to construct a guitar sound is innovative and creative. He's unbelievably creative. So he's another guy that hears in dimension. So so you got these very interesting guitar sounds in general, and they're very diverse. And then his use of gear, he does it wisely to where it serves the music as opposed to being a novelty whittly whittly. But none of that is really effective on a long-term level unless the music is there. And it's what he plays with that sound and all of those things that are obviously natural to him. That you can hear this is what I was referring to. I wouldn't assume that he was projecting into the future about something he should do to fit in. You know, he's completely authentic. Well, my secret weapon is the same as everybody else's, and that's your ability to visualize. That's your most powerful tool. Some people don't realize that because their mind is not visualizing, it's intellectualizing. Intellectualization is very different than visualization. Intellectualization requires you to have a conversation in your head about things. And then there's two voices that say, well, I should do this, I could do that, and I could do that, you know, and I could do that. But visualizing is raw and it is free. There's no limitations. You see? The only thing that gets in the way of your ability to visualize those things that you want to accomplish is your own fear. And the fear says, yeah, I know you want to do that, but you're going to fail. Or you're not going to fit in, and all these nonsense things. But really, the ability to manifest your creative desires require a clear visualization. That's the first step in manifesting. Well, now, actually, the first step is the desire. I want to do something. So what is that something? It could be a fantasy, or it could be an actual arising in you of a creative impulse. And that's what's best to honor, because that's going to give you your best, most effective work and most powerful, attractive, and it's going to satisfy you in the doing of it and in the accomplishing of it. The process becomes satisfying. So the visualization process is the second step in the manifesting of what it is. And there's two components to this secret. One of them is actually seeing and creating in your mind's eye that which you would like to achieve. You have to imagine what it would feel like to already have it. You have to actually feel what it would feel like to have it already. Then there is nothing that will stop it from just coming into your experience. It must. The moment you go, I would like to do this, and you start visualizing it, but then there's that resistance. How am I going to do it? How? So what people don't realize is they don't have to know how. You can't know how, because the how will not present itself until the right moment. The cooperative components of the manifesting of your visualizations and creative expressions will not happen until the time is right for them. And they're constantly happening, but us, in our ignorance, demand it now. You know, and if it doesn't happen now, you see, I told you it was going to fail. Your greatest tool is your ability to see the quality of the thoughts that you're thinking about yourself and your work. Because then you have a choice to change your attitude, if you have a bad attitude, a negative attitude, a fearful attitude, and do something about it, and that's where your freedom lies. You know, you don't have to worry about the how. If you can visualize and capture the essence of what it feels like to have it, the how will show itself to you along your path. It'll show you when the cooperative component is brought together for you. And you're attracting yourself to these things based on your attitude. You know, if you know unequivocally that this is a unique idea that was given to me for me, and it doesn't need to, it could be anything. A lot of people think because they love the guitar, it has to be a song. You know, it could be a recipe for pizza. You know, it could be something that resonates in you where you go, yeah, yeah, yeah.